वेलकम टू एडिटर टॉक्स। एडिटर टॉक्स एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म है जहाँ पे हम सक्सेसफुल लोगों को बुलाते हैं और वी ट्राई टू डिकोड देयर सक्सेस स्टोरीज। सो आज हमारी गेस्ट है मिस नंदिनी राव। Miss Nandini Rao, please welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
She is a global communication head, founder of Life-Unscripted, TEDx speaker and many more. So उन्हीं से जानते हैं कि और क्या क्या करते हैं. Ma'am, please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me to this channel. It's a pleasure talking to you. I've heard so much about you and the work you're doing, and it's very inspirational.
Thank you so
thank you. So being here feels very, very special. Thank you. My name is Nandini Rao, and I actually started my work and studies in I wanted to do something creative, so I studied in Chitrakala Parishad, and
nice.
from there I moved into advertising, and parallelly I got the bug of theatre. Once I found theatre, I was looking for a lot of creative ideas, but mediums, but I think theatre, I felt like it's my home.
Okay.
So from then it's been almost 25 years of doing theatre,
Oh.
more than actually 25 now, but yes, and I'm looking at how theatre can be applied in many different ways.
Okay.
Right from non-profit organizations to education sector to corporate sector, and now we're looking at a lot of international work as well.
Very nice. So going forward, can you tell us about your journey and how you started Life Unscripted?
Okay, so actually I was working, like I said, I started my career in advertising, and from there I moved into the corporate sector. So I worked for multiple organizations. I worked for Infosys, I worked for Tech Mahindra, I worked for a French company called AXA.
Okay.
And so I was in the field of communication training, and also supporting senior management and things like that. Like I said, parallelly weekends I was pursuing theatre, and slowly the work we were doing with theatre matured a lot. So I decided that I think the idea of quitting full-time job and starting a company was there from a long time.
Correct.
But I think it takes time. I think you really need to build your expertise. So I was, while the idea kept brewing, I didn't jump into it. So it took some time, which I mean a couple of years, before I could actually make the leap of faith.
Correct.
And then quit my full-time job and then start Life Unscripted. This was around 2014 when I took the leap of faith.
Nice. So how did you get into the theatres, and how it influenced your work?
I think one thing is theatre is very powerful medium, even when you are practicing it. So when you do it only for yourself also, I think it helps a lot to build your self-esteem. So for me at least, I think I found my identity through theatre. I felt extremely confident. I felt I could express myself so much more. And all the things which I wanted to do in different sectors, theatre became one channel which allowed me to get into that. So I felt like once I explored theatre as a medium for myself, then we started doing training programs for others, and through that we realized that we can actually, there's a lot, since I was working in the corporate world also parallelly, I could see that there's so much of theatre we could, or art-based ideas we could take back into the corporate sector, and it could really help people at multiple levels, individual level, team level, at a strategy level, at a vision level, at a making practical changes, not just like great ideas on a PowerPoint presentation, but actually make changes in a day-to-day life. So that's really how it started influencing both the worlds, and now they have kind of come together.
So you have established your theatre called Yours Truly Theatre in 2003.
Yes.
So just tell us about that.
So in college, I kind of did my first theatre performance, and I think from there I felt like our stage is my home.
Okay.
So, but then of course I also come from a family, one of the very well-known family in Bangalore. It's called Prabhat Kalavidaru. So if you go to south of Bangalore, you would have interacted with Prabhat in some way or the other, because they do a lot of ballets. So one of the famous one is Cinderella, and there are many more ballets which is very well known. There's a dress room, so you can pick, take costumes, or you would have interacted with Prabhat in some way or the other. But especially my grandfather and his brothers, they started the organization.
Okay.
And my grandfather himself was a playwright, and he wrote quite few revolutionary plays for his time,
Oh, very nice.
encouraging intercaste marriages,
Okay.
remarriage of widows, and many
Oh.
more such.
So it was like social reform.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, very
absolutely.
nice.
And he also started a school. I think I didn't get to interact with him much when I was a child, but definitely there has been some influence
Yeah,
without my own knowledge. So when
hereditary.
yeah, I think so. So when I found theatre, I felt like, yeah, this is my home.
Very nice.
And then I started doing a lot of theatre work in Bangalore, lot of work with a lot of directors across India, and then discovered that. So I think that one of the question which I was looking at is how do you make theatre relevant,
Correct.
right? Because we even by then we are looking at there's television, there's so many other mediums technologically which can do storytelling better. So why should somebody come to watch theatre? So my idea was like when we talk about innovation in other fields, why are we not talking about innovation in arts,
Yes.
especially in theatre? So my curiosity was like, what can we create which a mobile YouTube and a cinema cannot give you?
Correct.
That was the real question we started our journey with.
Very nice.
And then we realized that, yeah, if we can make it interactive, if the theatre can be personal, then it happens in the moment, which cannot be replicated again, right? So then that's where we started looking at formats of theatre. We got internationally trained in many formats of theatre.
Okay.
And that's how Yours Truly Theatre started.
Very nice. Very
started
unique
over a chart.
concept. Yeah.
Over a chart, eating chart with two of my colleagues at that point of time.
So nice.
So, of course, one colleague within very short time had to move on, and the other colleague around 9 years after the group, he
So
moved
still
on.
it is going on.
Yes, it is very actively going on.
Very
We
nice.
completed 21 years this year
Very
and
nice.
half marathon.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice,
So,
nice.
yes, it's an ongoing journey,
Very
absolutely.
nice. So how did you combine your passion for theatre with management consultancy?
Yes, I think that's where, since I had worked in corporate for almost 18 plus years in multiple fields, which included communication, also included marketing, also included training, worked very closely with HR. So I could see the probably how an organization works from like a little bit of a distance perspective. So I could see the 360-degree issues which are happening at employee level, at a managerial level, at a leadership level. What are the disconnects? What are the gaps? So and then since I was doing theatre, and we're applying theatre in many different fields. Like we work with social sector, we work with education sector. We do a lot of public performances on many topics of importance and relevance. So then I thought that, hey, how we can look at using theatre in a corporate space, and what are the gaps it can fill. Of course, I won't say theatre can solve all the problems, but there are some problems it can definitely solve, especially the idea of humanizing some of the topics, right? Because I think even the very human topics, like for example, diversity inclusion, right? It's a very human topic. So if you put it in a PowerPoint and do a training or a e-learning, it is so impersonal. But the idea of what does it feel to belong? What does it feel to be excluded? All these are very human topics, and these are all stories of our lives, right? So I think these topics definitely require, theatre can really drive home the point. So like that, we started looking also in training programs, right? So the usual training a lot of times sounds very good, but not very practical when you go back. But here we do a lot of role plays. So that means actors will do a role play with the employees. And this is a serious role play because then you will get to rehearse. We call it rehearsal for life. So you get to rehearse, and if you can do it here on stage, then you can possibly go back and make some changes in your day-to-day work as well.
Correct.
So it becomes extremely practical, experiential training programs.
So Nandini, can you just tell me what is applied theatre and how do you use it in your work? What is applied theatre?
Right. So I think applied theatre is like what we call as applied arts. That means as soon as when you're doing pure science or pure art, of course it's the most amazing thing, but usually doesn't pay the bills. So, but whenever you apply science or apply arts, let's say for example applied arts would be graphic design, web design and many other fields, you can actually pursue what you like but also get paid.
Correct.
So applied theatre is also about looking, not just doing theatre for entertainment, but you're actually doing theatre for a certain purpose, or you're applying theatre to solve a certain problem. Now, what can be the problem? What are the problem statements? Like, for example, is it a bias? Is it unconscious bias? Are we looking at, let's say, for example, how do you make people aware of a certain behavior of their own? So, depending on what the topic is, can we create awareness about cancer? So, HCG Hospital collaborated with us on one of the projects, and we looked at how do we create more cancer awareness where people talk about it rather than not talk about it. So then we did a whole campaign around that. So like that. So we're looking at what are the gaps, and then trying to see how we can apply theatre for a purpose and a cause.
Okay, so can you share one successful example from your applied theatres?
Sure. So, for example, the one which I was talking about, the cancer awareness with HCG Hospital, it was really a powerful initiative because we performed across many different organizations. And initially, when we start the performance, when we ask what comes to your mind when we say cancer, everyone was like scared, don't want to talk about it, it's a death sentence, I feel uncomfortable talking about it. And then we take them through a whole process of the theatre, where we also invite cancer survivors, and they also share their stories, which we perform. And through that whole process, at the end, we also have, of course, doctors from HCG who were also part of the, and that's where the applied part comes. So you're not also doing it, but you're also making it educational. And at the end of it, we ask the same question: what comes to your mind now? After 1 hour, when we say cancer, they said, we need to talk more about it. And if you detect early that you know there is the chances are higher for recovery. And we need to discuss this at home and everywhere and not feel it's a taboo. So I think that's like within an hour you can see a huge curve of change.
Super.
So
very nice.
Yes, very proud of that project because it was like a three-way success for people who were watching it, for the people who were sharing it, and for us. So yeah, absolutely.
So very nice. So you are doing very nice social service, I can say.
Yeah, and other than that, of course, we work on many specific corporate topics. Like we do a lot of work around leadership. We look at values of an organization, because values are always these very easy like, oh, there are values.
Exactly.
What does a value mean? What does integrity mean on my day-to-day work, right? So like that, we do a lot of work in diversity inclusion. We work for LGBTQIA awareness programs. Of course, we work on mental health. We do a lot of work around women. And we also specifically have been working on POSH, prevention of sexual harassment at workplace, because that's again a very sensitive topic.
Yes.
And again, theatre performance can bring in the nuances of that topic as well. So
very nice. So how does Life-Unscripted approach differ from traditional management consulting?
I think two words. One is it's extremely experiential. So whether your training programs or your awareness sessions, they're extremely experiential. So it tends to stay with people much longer compared to a e-learning program or a PowerPoint presentation. It tends to stay with you because we are all people. We all think stories. We all learn from stories.
Exactly.
Right? We are wired as humans for stories. So when you see a story being performed or being shared, I think that the impact of it is very, very long lasting. So I think that is probably one of the biggest changes. And we've seen like where we have performed 10 years back, and if we meet someone, they're like, we still remember that particular scene, what you did.
Very true.
Or whatever language we used in the play, that becomes a language for them to talk about a topic. It's almost like you're giving them a vocabulary to talk about a certain topic. So I think those are definitely something which we can say we are able to bring on table.
Very nice. So what services Life-Unscripted offer to the organization, and how you are helping them?
So we have three ways we can support an organization. One is do awareness programs on many different topics, which could be organization-wide awareness. So it could be about employee awareness. You want to create a leadership level awareness. You want to create a manager level awareness. or the whole organization. So we do a lot of performances based on, let's say, for example, you said these are values of our organization. So we will put it into a theater format and make it interactive, and then talk about the values of the
Okay, okay.
organization.
So it is customized for every
It's
organization.
absolutely customized because it is so particularly dependent on what the need is. So all our programs are customized.
Very
The
nice.
second one is second offering. What we have is training programs. So in learning and development, we are able to offer a lot of training programs, but make it very experiential and fun. But learn while having fun, and actually have deeper discussions than what
Okay,
you
okay.
usually might have. Third is we are able to offer some amount of specific team-based interventions, some OD interventions we are able to offer. And luckily we have had more than 100 clients in last 10 years.
Very nice.
Yeah, so right from we have worked with Sony, we have worked with Volvo, we have worked with Target, we have worked with Goldman Sachs, we have worked with
Very nice.
Cisco. So all the top brands,
Big
all
brands,
the
yeah.
multinational
Very
brands.
nice, very nice.
So that way the let's say the credentials in terms of knowing different industry, I think in last 10 years has been very high.
Very nice. So can you just elaborate your experiences on leadership development and organizational changes?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for example, on leadership development, we recently also did a program for Publicis Sapient, which was for all the leaders, divided into two programs, where we're looking at how can they be the first responder. So, a lot of times HR and managers, and especially at a leadership level, you might have a lot of employees coming to you and wanting to share. And a lot of leaders feel very uncomfortable if somebody is coming, and especially sharing emotions. So
Right,
if somebody, a male manager, a male leader, and if a lady comes and starts crying, it could actually be very extremely uncomfortable for them.
Them,
And
exactly.
most of the time, they're not equipped to know what to do, what to say, how to respond, what is the right thing to do. So this program was specifically looking at how can you be a good first responder, ensuring that you are taking care of the emotional aspects along with it. So like that, we depending on, like I said, organization need, we are able to do a lot of work with leadership across the board.
Very nice. So can you just tell us and throw more light on inclusion and diversity?
Oh yes,
Because
of
these
course.
are the now every company has to go
Absolutely.
undergo these trainings and other
Yeah,
by
absolutely.
statutory this thing.
True, true.
So just
So,
tell us more about
yeah,
that.
so we have many performances and workshops for diversity inclusion. Now, of course, it's called DIEB, diversity, inclusion, equity, and belongingness. So we have a program called Choose to Challenge, where we look at different unconscious biases. So this is a basic first level unconscious bias training. So what are the different biases we have? So for example, we have one scene where we're looking at, sutta break. So a lot of team members go out for sutta breaks.
break, correct.
There may be one or two people who don't smoke, and they lose out on a lot of important information, official information.
Exactly. A lot of
Right?
things are discussed on that
Sutta break. It's one of the very popular
Yeah, yeah,
scene.
exactly.
Wherever we perform, people love that scene.
Correct.
Right? So that is a lifestyle bias, right?
Yes, yes.
Because I'm not having the same lifestyle as team or my manager, I'm losing out on some very important information. So how do we make them aware that your lifestyle is probably excluding someone, right? And there's what we call as distance or bias based on the distance. That means if I'm working now, it's a very matrix, right? So you have you have your team working from different parts of the world,
correct,
or different parts of India. So as a manager, I work with you. I know you. I see you every day. So my comfort with you is very high compared to someone who is further
working
away.
from yes, yes.
So it can also create a bias. Though they might be doing a lot of work, I may always, my trust level with you might be just very high.
Yes.
Because of that. So that could also
Absolutely.
create a bias. Then of course you have all the conventional bias against, let's say, unconscious bias against women, from different regions, different religious groups, and different language. Language is a huge bias. Then of course you have bias against LGBTQI community, and there's a lot of misunderstanding and misnomers about it. So we try to debust a lot of myths around that through
Very
our
nice.
performances.
Very nice. Very nice. So coming back to global presence, you
And of
have
course, one more in the diversity, we also work with what is called as ERG groups.
Oh, okay.
So employee resource groups.
Resource.
So most of the organization have their ERG groups for different topics. So we also work with those ERG groups to strengthen them and to ensure that they're able. So most of the time, it's easy to start a group, but very difficult to sustain it.
Correct.
Right. So we are also supporting how the sustainability of that group can happen.
Very nice, very nice. So coming back to your global presence,
Yes.
You have centers in Netherlands and
Yes.
India, both
Yes.
countries. So what are the challenges and opportunities of working across the cultures?
Oh yeah, very exciting. So since my childhood, I've been, traveling around. So I think in some way, after 2-3 years, I tend to move for good reasons. So 6 years back, I moved to Netherlands. I got married to a Dutch, so I moved to Netherlands. And then I think the first part was for me also to first learn before I can talk to others and tell anybody any more gyan. But doing any gyan, I had to learn for myself. And I think last 6 years has been a fantastic, difficult but fantastic learning experience.
Any cultural difference?
Lots of cultural differences. So especially Dutch are very direct.
Okay.
They are very direct to an extent that it might sometimes feel a bit rude.
Okay.
Or you might not be used to that amount of directness. So your feedback is going to come directly to you. Your if you've done something, they'll say that directly to you. They'll also say no directly to you.
Okay.
And they expect no from you. Very straight. And as an Indian born with all the values of India, where you cannot say no to someone who is senior to you, or saying no is such a big problem. So as an Indian, I was doing my Indian thing, which I would say yes, 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 but Then I realized that that's not going to fly. It's not sustainable. So I had to work a lot on myself to learn that I think there's a huge value in being direct and honest and candid and say what you think. So initially it was tough, but it's a huge advantage because you don't have to think. I can say no and not feel like, oh my God, what will they think about me? So there's no double guessing. It is what it is. So you take it at the, there's no, like they said this, but what are they thinking? They're saying this, what will they do? No double guessing.
So here you have to play both part, what they are thinking and what you will answer.
Exactly, right. And second thing which was very difficult for me to adjust is time. Because I'm very Indian in my 5 o'clock means 6 o'clock, 6 means 7:30. I was like that. So, and my husband is not just Dutch, but he's like extreme version of Dutch.
Okay.
So he's like super time, sticks to time. So learning how, and I realized that is not something I can do, jugaad, or I can convince, because the whole culture works like that. Whole system works like that. So on time is something I gave up. I said, no, I cannot work like this. So it was very hard, but I think now I'm very conscious of time, and I ensure that if 7 is a 7. And so it came hard, but it did. Many cultural difference. For example, one of the things, some things you don't even know you have, right? So for example, they are a very non-hierarchical. So for example, like they don't mind talking to their elders with their first names. They don't mind giving feedback to their elders. Like in India, we are used to not, speaking to adults like elders, and we have like this whole thing of respect. So multiple times, like where if my mother-in-law will be like, I'll come over to your house and I'll hand it over this, and that's my work. And I kept feeling very guilty. I'm like, she's a senior lady, she's coming. So I kept telling her, no, I will come. So then she asked me, she's like, why? Is it a problem if I come? I was like, no, it's not a problem, but it's like I'm the younger one, so I should be, I should not trouble you, So then she was like, no, all that doesn't work here. So a lot of things which I am exploring and learning, that, oh my God, that thing is so deep for us, right? Though we think we are very global now, but there are still a lot of nuances which we carry with us. But at the same time, I think I'm very, very set in my Indian ways. So I think having had that exposure, I think I appreciate a lot of Indian-ness in me now, a lot more than before. So, and there are a lot of things I've not given up, especially my taste for spice, making spicy bhel and having a spicy chaat. So I've not given up on that. So there are a lot of things I think now I'm able to make sense of from. Initially, it is confusing. Initially, you're like, this is like that, that is like, why is like this, why they are not changing, why that is like that. But then I think after now you're settled down. So when you're here, you follow the rules here. When you're there, you follow their rules.
Very nice, very nice. So can you share some experiences working with different clients from different geographical locations?
Yeah, I think what I shared from a personal point of view also gets translated when it comes to working with international clients. And I think the same, in fact, we do a lot of intercultural trainings, especially now. We have started doing a lot of intercultural training, especially how Indians adapt to Western clients and how Westerners, when they're working with Indians, what are their struggles.
Okay.
So now we are able to do these workshops on both the sides.
Very nice.
So we did run this whole program for Sony, where the idea was like a lot of Indians working at a middle management to senior management are extremely strong on their tech, very strong, but they don't tend to be as expressive or as expressive in the sense they're not really able to put their point across or convince clients about more or showcase the work they do. So but their counterparts around the world, they tend to do a better job on that. So this training was to look at that specifically, and also look at, for example, we did a scene. It's about hierarchies, right? Like when you look at intercultural hierarchy in India is very, it's part of it.
Correct.
Even in a lot of MNCs,
yes.
You don't call each other sir, madam, but still it's
there
in your system.
Yes.
Like a young, let's say, intern or a fresher may not feel comfortable going and giving a feedback to, let's say, a manager, right? That this I think is wrong, or this I think we can change. They may not feel very comfortable doing that. But that's not what happens, could happen in other countries. So they find it strange that why are you not able to give me a feedback?
Okay.
Why didn't you tell me this earlier? So a lot of times, most of the time, when it comes to accepting deadlines, right? We as Indians tend to say, yeah, ho jayega 1 month. In 1 month we'll finish. But we know in our head that 1 month, so nothing will happen. But we are thinking, ki chalo, last week I will tell ki we need another 2 more weeks.
Okay.
That they find very, for them it's a big, like you're breaking a promise, or it was a commitment which you are, so they take it very seriously. So they would prefer if you had told them that it will take 90 days, and they would accept that. But you saying 60 days and then making it 90 days is not acceptable for them. So like this, there are a lot of nuances. And for example, from their side, they sometimes do not understand a lot of our communication. And most of the time I've got a feedback that they don't understand why Indians take a lot of chai breaks. They're like, Indians are very serious about their tea breaks and our lunch break, so we really go for lunch. Like, food is so critical for us, so we really take our tea break and lunch break very seriously.
Very true.
A lot of times there, they just have their, sandwich on the table, and it's like hardly 15-minute break they have.
Okay.
So yeah, it's funny and interesting, and I'm still, of course, I've learned a lot, but there's so much more to learn because I think it's a very deep subject. So
very nice.
It's ongoing learning for me as well.
Very nice. So listening all these things, so I just wanted to ask you, what advice would you like to share with the listeners about the power of applied theatres?
Yes.
And its potential impact on the organizations?
Yes. I think I personally would say I think it's a lot more than just the corporate world, but I think we have worked a lot with school students, we have worked with a lot of NGOs, we have worked with a lot of college students, a lot of youth. So I think what is very important is I think we all need to at least find something else beyond our academic and professional persuasions. So I think having something which is beyond that, it could be art, it could be sports, it could be something else. I think that gives a lot of sense of purpose in life.
Exactly.
And especially when things are going fine, it's all good. But when life takes a dip, I think you really need something more than these things to hold you together.
Correct.
So for personally, when I hit my rock bottom, I think like all the work I had done with art and theatre and I continued doing it even when I was going through my rock bottom. So it literally held me. I feel like it really held me, and I think I was able to recover the resilience which I had. Many things I think happened because of the work I've been doing. So I really, my advice would be like, please pursue
What?
something beyond just the
Exactly.
academics and professional persuasion. And of course, you'll have your family and you'll have your support system. But I think there should be something which is your own,
Yes.
you know, something which you can call your own, and what you derive out of it, I think cannot be taken away. A lot of things
Very
can be
true.
taken away, but this cannot be
This
taken
can.
away.
Very
So
true. Very
that's
true.
definitely. In terms of corporates, I would say I think things have changed a lot in last 10 years. Initially, when we used to talk to clients, they used to approach us, but they had a lot of they were very worried. They're like, how will it go? What will happen? Even now, many clients come with the same. But I think many more corporates are open to looking at understanding what it can do. They're open to giving us an opportunity.
Correct.
So I would say to all the potential clients, do give us a try. I'm sure we will not disappoint you. But of course, I think what is important is not just applying art or theatre just like that. I think there's a lot of homework which needs to be done.
Correct.
So I think the work is not on the day of the show. The work is those 2-3 months before the
Before.
show. And the more deeper and in-depth, detailed research, understanding has gone into it, the better the performances and the impact of it will be. So I think that's it's a collaboration, it's a partnering definitely, because we on our own will be able to do something, but if the client has partnered with us and given us the right information, given us exact insights, the performance can really do magic.
Very nice. Very nice. So थैंक यू सो मच फॉर ऑल द इन्फॉर्मेशन व्हाट यू हैव गिवन.
Yes.
आपके साथ बात करके बहुत अच्छा लगा
हाँ.
और कुछ नया मैंने सीखा. अप्लाइड थिएटर्स जो है वो कंसेप्ट मैंने आज ही सुना.
अच्छा.
और वो कैसे काम करता है ये भी मैंने आप ही से
अच्छा.
सीखा मैंने आज. सो डेफिनेटली आई विल help you in whatever
Yes.
way I can
Oh,
help
thank
you.
you so much.
And
I just have one more thing to
yeah,
add.
please.
I want to take this opportunity to thank my team because I think I now do, you know, they're the ones who are doing it actual on the floor work. So I have a fantastic team both at Yours Truly Theatre and at Life Unscripted. We work on weekdays and weekends. So I want to give a big shout out to my whole team at Yours Truly Theatre and Life Unscripted. And if I can plug in, we conduct a lot of basic theatre workshops. We conduct a lot of, for people who want to do theatre, we conduct workshops. We do a lot of performances. We also do improv. We also do comedy. So, so get in touch with us, and if you're interested to especially pursue or watch theatre.
Very nice, very nice. So, audience, please get in touch if you are really interested in theaters and other thing. So, details will be given in the video, and please do connect with Nandini ma'am. So,
Oh,
thank
yes.
you so much.
Thank you so much. It is such a pleasure talking to
Thank you
you,
so much.
and you make your guests feel so easy and comfortable. So,
Thank
thank
you
you so much.
Thank you.